All right, well, I am back at the Blister Summit with Michael Barker, head of product at Glade. And first off, stoked to have you back.
Yeah, likewise.
Appreciate you coming out here. And yeah, we're just going to cover some of the newest and latest products in Glade's lineup. And I think especially since our last video together, there's been a lot of changes. So what do you want to start with?
Yeah, well, I mean, talking about goggles is obviously first and foremost for us. And yeah, we are stoked to be back. And you couldn't have said it better. Like, a lot's changed for us, you know. And it's been fun already just this morning talking to new people and seeing them bring them the goggles that they got a couple years ago. Nice. and loving it. And so, yeah, so talking about goggles, I mean, for us, you know, we really started out with photochromic as our story. And that was something that really resonated with the consumers and with people that really need a goggle that can function in a variety of conditions. Like, gone are the days of having to just every morning figure out, well, what's the right one for this afternoon or for this morning or whatever. And, you know, our photochromic has just simplified things. And we've worked really hard since the last time we talked about really even further simplifying that photochromic story. So this year we released Reveal Photochromic. And it is basically an enhanced version of what we originally had. So better contrasting, better light dissolution, and then really the best part is that we've really made that recipe so it's got a 16 to 61% VLT no matter the color. So even then, it's very easy to tell the story and go, oh, you like orange? You want an amber base? Great, this will work for you. Oh, you like blue and a rose base? This will work for you as well. Oh, do they have different? No. They have the same VLT, so you're going to get the same performance regardless of the lens you choose. So you don't have to have that convoluted story of, oh, should I get the orange? It's got an extra 8% or on the high end or on the low end, and that has just done really well for us, and just people like it. It obviously makes the story so much more simple. But yeah, that's our bread and butter is our photochromic, and we put that in everything that we do. So a lot of people are probably familiar with our Adapt series. So our Adapt was really our first photochromic goggle. That's now evolved into the Adapt 2. Really worked on its ergonomics, really worked on the shaping and the fit. And then we also made a smaller version of it. So now we have a version for most medium to large faces, and then we have a version for most small to medium faces. So really trying to find that sweet spot of being able to get everybody into the same type of technology. So yeah, so that's really number one for us, and then it kind of rolls into our Fathom series, and the Fathom is pretty sweet. You know, shares that same Reveal photochromic tech, but it does so with magnetic interchange options. So if you want to switch up your colors, or if you want to swap in a low light lens on a particularly gnarly day, super easy to do. You know, you don't have any claps, you don't have any crazy contraptions. Swap that on and off with 11 magnets, and it stays put. So that's been another big one for us, is people kind of like that versatility. Like, oh, I'm kind of dipping my toe into photochromic, but I still want to have that option. Yeah. And I'm seeing a lot of people dig that optionality, that safety per se. Yeah.
And on the Fathom, you guys offer two different lens types. Can you run us through that and how someone might choose between them?
Yeah, so we have the Fathom and the Fathom Plus, and really the difference between those is we do a cylindrical lens on the Fathom, and then we do a toric lens on the Fathom Plus. So cylindrical, obviously, you know, very typical single plane curvature. With the toric lens, you actually get a dual curvature. So that dual curvature going on both planes basically just it minimizes any distortion on the peripheral. So if you're looking for that ultimate optical experience where at the periphery you're getting zero distortion whatsoever, you know, the toric lens is really going to give you that awesome optical experience. So that is our highest end goggle. And interestingly enough, it's the hardest one to keep in stock.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is not something that, you know, we always started out, and it's baked into our DNA as, you know, value, right? Like, we want to kind of create, like, you know, accessible products that have high-end tech that just aren't so crazy expensive. And, you know, bringing the Fathom Plus in at $199 was kind of a, you know, oh geez, that's a little outside of our DNA. Can't keep it in stock.
Interesting.
Like, we're literally sold out of them right now. Like, the ones I have here at the demo are basically the only ones in the States right now that aren't accounted for.
And I mean, if it's anything like the last time you guys were at the summit, you might not have many left at the
Yeah,
end.
we were doing a lot of reminiscing over the last week of like, okay, like what's the plan and everything, and I was like, I don't know, man. Last time, like I was just selling everybody goggles. They wanted to keep them, so I was taking their money. So yeah, we'll see how this day goes. But like I told you earlier, it's been interesting already this morning. People showing up with their Glades on at the summit, and I've already had 5 different people. Oh man, this year never seen so many Glades at my home mountain.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh well, that's nice to hear. You know, it feels like, you know, we're always turning corners, but it obviously feels a lot more visceral this year with when you actually get out and it's instead of like spotting the few, you're like, oh no, now I'm standing in a line and there's actually like we have some people here. So that's great to see.
All right, so we just went over the update on the goggle side of things at Glade, kind of where you got your start, but since then, you've expanded into several different categories, including a new type of eyewear. Can you run us through what's coming down the line or what's new on the sunglasses side of things?
Yeah, so a few years ago, you know, our philosophy with really product development being kind of a smaller, more nimble company is like we kind of dabble in things and kind of take some learnings, get a small run of product out there, and then really take the feedback and go, okay, what do people like about it? What do they not? What could improve? Or really, did we hit the mark? You know, did we provide them an optical solution in some regards, or were we just making stuff to make stuff? So we spent the last 2 seasons really building out basically what would be considered our off-season product line, moving outside of goggles and outside of helmets and moving into sunglasses. This year is a huge year for us. We've really revamped an entire holistic line and really worked on basically not only our frame materials, but our lens technology, but also just doing some interesting things with like ventilation, photochromic, bringing that more into the forefront on sunglasses. And then we have a new retainer system as well that is pretty slick and made to integrate with every single one of our new sunglasses coming this spring. So we're pretty excited about that. But yeah, photochromic is again, just like in sunglasses or just like in goggles, you're going to see it in sunglasses pretty heavily for us. And one unique thing is we basically have 2 collections coming out this next year. We have our locals collection, which is really kind of our everyday, every activity. You know, they look good, feel good. You can ride in them, walk the dog in them, do whatever you want. And then we also have our trails collection, which we've really built to be a highly ventilated, high performance, you know, for your mountain biking, for your road cycling, gravel, whatever you want to do, climbing, backcountry skiing. So we've got some awesome options there. And that entire line is photochromic. We have decided to not bring anything in that is, you know, a glacier style lens or bring anything that's a low light, because with our reveal photochromic, so you can kind of see on the table, like it's sitting here in this unlit room and it is clear as day. And what's nice about these lenses and what I've been developing and working on is having that lens for me where I'm up in northern Idaho and it obviously doing a lot of trees, a lot of cedar groves and whatnot. And I can go out for a day. I can leave the house, ride 5 miles of gravel, get up to the mountain, and I can wear the same lens the entire time. I never have to take it off. I don't have to worry about, oh, is it going to rain this afternoon? Oh, or where are we going? It's just consistent. And if we finish in the dark, I'm completely fine. It goes clear. So that's really exciting on the trail side of it and really building that out. And people are going to love what they see from us this spring. On the other side, back into kind of the locals collection, we're bringing photochromic in there as well. But we're also doing it polarized.
Okay.
So polarized photochromic, which is something that, you know, you don't see a lot of out there. It's kind of a tough technology to get those things to play and mate well together. But we're now doing it, and we've got it into some of our best glasses, like our West Slope is one of our #1 selling glasses. Just so happens to be the ideal fishing glass. And now it's in a reveal photochromic plus polarization. So talk about your ultimate fly fishing glass. Yeah, that's pretty nice. So.
Yeah, I would be particularly excited to try that because I feel like half my fishing days either start at like dusk or end around sunset, and you want to keep your polarized glasses on to see, but then all of a sudden they're just super dark and they're kind of pointless at that point. So yeah, it sounds right up my alley.
And kind of what the light bulb for me was, all my buddies and fishing with them and just watching everybody and the fact that they will carry 3 different pairs of sunglasses typically, plus readers, bifocals, depending on how much help they need. But, they're carrying, I got my low light, I got this. And I'm like, dude, like, it's no different than what we talk about in snow. It's no different what I talk about in bike. It's like I'm watching guys carry multiple pairs, and it makes sense because I'm not that type. But when I'm wearing just my, 13%, amber lens, like, when I'm trying to fish in some shadows, turns out I can't see very well. So we're pretty excited about that. We brought out a small run of that this past fall. Did exceptionally well, and now we're bringing that into more of the line. So that's going to be a really exciting adventure for us.
Sweet.
For sure.
Yeah, it's cool to see kind of a similar philosophy being applied to the sunglasses. And I think, like, on my end at least, for many products, my main priority is, like, I don't want to think about this while I'm using it.
Yeah.
And like in our experience with the photochromic goggles, for the most part, it's like it is changing throughout the day and in different conditions, but ideally you're not even thinking about that. You're just like, I can still see.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I've had that, like, kind of baked into my personal ethos for a long time, being in product and thinking of, like, the best gear is the one that you never have to think about. And that's a commonly said, I won't want to say platitude, like in product design. Everybody says it. But it's totally true. And with sunglasses, I think it's just the optimal thing. And it's what's nice is we've taken that kind of ethos that I have, that philosophy, and it's baked across our entire line. And so I like they point that out because, that's the versatile and simplistic is really the way that I look at this. Like, I don't want to, and I tell people at the demo, like, okay, cool, like, how does it work or whatever. I'm like, the goal is that you're going to come back and you're just going to say, I guess they worked. I know I saw all day long, but, like, this isn't going to be something where all of a sudden you go to the edge of a run or you drop in a north-facing cliff or you drop into trees and all of a sudden, like, HD vision shows up. No, it just works. It just works and it goes with the flow, so you can just keep on moving. And I think that's important, is, like, we're just trying to basically accentuate your experience without you knowing.
All right, well, I think we'll round things out with kind of the third big category for you guys. What's going on with Glade Helmets this year?
Yeah, so, we entered the helmet category last season with our Boundary helmet, and now we've kind of added another option there. And, helmets are just a natural extension for us. I mean, honestly, like, the main reason we got into helmets was we got really tired of people buying and adapting, going, hey, what helmet does this work best with? And we'd be like, X and X model, and it was like, wow, we're just selling other people's helmets. But in tune, it also gave us an opportunity to make a helmet that does work really dang well and has kind of some of the things that we like with a helmet that others aren't providing. And so some of the things that we've really focused on, and again, sticking with some versatility aspects and also into some simplicity, is really just focusing on fit, ventilation, and weight. And weight is kind of I kind of consider synonymous with comfort. Ski helmets tend to be getting heavier and heavier, it seems like, or maybe it doesn't seem like, they just are. And so we kind of focused on making sure that we can get the lightest platform that's just comfortable. Again, kind of like what we talked about with sunglasses and goggles, like, you just kind of forget it's there. It's just there. You snug it down, it's nice and light, it's not weighing you down, it's not pushing too far forward, so it's not affecting your goggles. Talked to somebody about that earlier today, they're like, oh, what really helps when you're trying to fit your goggle to your helmet? And a lot of it's like, making sure your helmet fits you well and is snug. Like, so many people throw on their snow helmet and never tighten the dial, and then all it does is wiggle, and all it does is push forward, and that lens moves down, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, geez, I can't breathe out of my nose.
Yeah, and
well, let your goggles fault.
Let alone, like, if you do hit your head, a helmet that's super loose and wobbling around, it's not going to do as much as it fits properly.
Yeah, it's not safe. Not going to perform the way it was intended. And so anyway, so thinking of the helmets themselves, so obviously the Boundary came out, and we wanted that to be kind of our full meal deal, So dual ventilation system, MIPS liner, extremely lightweight, Fidlock chin strap, 18, vents built into it. that is an awesome all-around helmet for most people. We also saw the opportunity to have something maybe a little bit less expensive, and something that has a little bit different style to it. And so that was the 10 mile. We know there's a lot of people that aren't necessarily going to jive with, they want a helmet that looks a certain way. So we wanted something that has a little bit less ventilation, a little bit less of a brim to it. And so that's really where the 10 mile was born. And it's quite a bit less expensive, obviously, to also help with that aspect. So now you want to get into a Glade, well, great, we have it. We have a secondary option to you if, the top end boundary isn't for you. Some of the tech, though, that they share, though, is again, the brim curvatures are the same, mate with our goggles, obviously perfectly, as they should, but also the ventilation system. The ventilation is really big. If you have the properly vented helmet that actually has ways to push air in and through your vents, you're going to be way happier. People don't realize that sometimes one of their most common fogging issues is the fact that, yeah, your goggles have vents and your helmet doesn't. So when you close that off to any airflow, where is that heat going to escape and where is that new air going to come in? Defeating the whole purpose of why goggles actually have vents. So we brought that into the 10 mile as well, and we feel like we have, again, more of an offering now, but it's still nice and concise. We have 2 helmets. There isn't a plan to build out a whole bunch more, but we're pretty happy that we have kind of these options and that we're starting to see more and more people have more choices from us and fit new demographics.
All right, well, we will leave it at that for now. I really appreciate you taking the time and being at the summit again, and hopefully we can actually get some laps together this year.
That's the goal. I need to make time this year for sure.
But in the meantime, looking forward to checking out all these products in the future.
All right, man. Yeah, good to see you again.
Sweet.